Welcome back to New Mexico Entertainment Television, where you continue to be in the know with all things events and entertainment in New Mexico. I'm Teresa Robinson, and on this month's episode, we'll be covering topics from our March issue, which is our food issue. On this month's episode, we have Nick Peña from Food Tour New Mexico, top 10 US bartender and owner of WestonDrinks, Weston Simons. Beyond the Case host, Crystal Gutierrez, talks about the new event, Beyond the Crime Convention. Artist Stephanie Galloway talks about her process, and musician Marion Carillo talks about his love of music and closes out the episode with a performance. Also, our entertainment history and our music minute featuring Sisterbaby. So, let's get started. Food Tour New Mexico offers immersive walking food tours through the historic downtowns of Santa Fe and Albuquerque, showcasing local culture and hidden culinary gems. We're excited to talk with Nick Peña about what attendees can expect on the tour and how it began. Thanks for taking time out to talk with me today.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for being patient. I was running a few minutes behind, and then my internet wasn't working, and it was just what's going on right now.
Not a problem at all. So I wanted to learn a little bit more about these tours. So
Yeah,
how did they begin?
great question. So I started officially formulated the company in 2010, late 2010, and began operations May of 2011. I was sort of inspired by a friend of mine that I went to high school with. Her name is Annie, and I grew up in Santa Fe. I went to St. Michael's High School. She ended up going out to Arizona and starting a similar concept several years before we had ran into each other out there. And I basically just picked her brain so much that she kind of saw the writing on the wall. She helped me get off the ground with the basic concept, and then I just kind of took it from there.
So anybody who attends these tours, what can they expect?
So they can expect to view New Mexico and Santa Fe and Albuquerque through the eyes of a local. Our guides are either we only have two full-time guides, not including myself. They've lived here for decades. One of them is multi-generational Santa Fean, and so really seeing the cities through our eyes. We're going to visit some really great food establishments. We are going to learn the true history of New Mexico. We're going to talk about the dynamics of the food, not only from like a culinary perspective, but also a bit of a historical perspective. And you're gonna have a good time. I mean, you're eating and drinking, you're sightseeing, you're taking photos, you're hanging out with friends and family, you're making new friends. So overall, just a really fun educational and tasty experience.
How do you go about even choosing which establishments you visit for that particular tour? Are they
Yeah,
often switched up? How does that work?
we just draw names out of a hat. No,
I love it. I love it.
no. No. So they're all mostly curated by myself. We have concepts, and then through being a local Santa Fean, I live in Albuquerque. I have friends and family property in Santa Fe as well. I'm back and forth on a weekly basis multiple times. I have lots of relationships with people that kind of grew up into this industry of the restaurant industry, and so I have a lot of connections there. I'll come up with a concept and definitely got feedback from my guides. They have some amazing insight. One of our guides has been guiding internationally for 30 some years, I think.
Wow.
So I mean, the depth of understanding and knowledge of what we all bring to the table to create a tour event is pretty amazing. We tend to not work with corporations. We like to keep it small.
That's good
And
to hear. That's good to hear.
it's also easier to work with, the owner directly versus having to go through tons of red tape with a corporation. Um, and then we sort of fine tune our menu. Most of our tours are anywhere from 3 to 5 stops. They include alcoholic and non-alcoholic pairings automatically, drink pairings, and a dessert. And so it's typically, I'm almost 6'4", 265 pounds. And if I go eat on this tour, I'm feeling all right. I'm not like a lot of people look at it. They look at their first dish and it's like, maybe a taco and a margarita, and they're kind of thinking, oh, it's not much, but cumulatively, it's a full on meal. So,
How many of these tours happen on a regular basis?
great question. So we offer tours every day in Albuquerque and in Santa Fe, up to three in Santa Fe and up to two in Albuquerque per day. We do have a partnership agreement in place with all of our restaurants, which we do have a minimum and roughly a maximum. We do supersede that maximum with private events, custom private tours. And so anywhere from one or two to five a day are offered.
Wow.
We operate at least, I would say, half the week. And so we're doing, for a small business, I think we're kind of run under the radar. We've done some pretty good numbers over the years. We're going on year 15, I think. It makes me feel old.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a really great journey.
Before we go, if you can let everybody know where they can find out more about you.
Yeah, absolutely. Best place to go is to our website, foodtournewmexico.com, and it's all written out. I apologize. That was not, I did not think about that. In hindsight, it's a long one, but food, FOODTOUR, New Mexico.com. Our Instagram could be better, but it's, we do like to hype up not only our partnered restaurants, but food that we try. And that's at Food Tour New Mexico as well. So we're pretty active on Facebook and all the platforms. So yeah, come and visit us. We love to have locals on the tour. I know a lot of us locals think we know it all, but every single local that I've ever had on a tour always learns something or finds a new place that they had not tried. So we'd love to have y'all.
Well, Nick, thanks again. And yes, we will definitely be trying this tour. Thank you again.
Awesome. Let me know when you want to come on. I'd love to have you on, and thank you for having me on your show.
Weston Simons has been crafting drinks since 2003 and working professionally in the service industry since 2010. Named one of the top 10 bartenders in the U.S. by World Class and owner of WestonDrinks, Simons' love for his art pairs well with a meal and a fun night out. We talked about how he got started and the competition scene. So thank you so much for joining
Of
me
course.
and talking about what you do. So I want to start with kind of a question for me. I feel like a lot of people think that when it comes to um, distilleries or breweries, that the whole notion of alcohol is not really a form of entertainment. So I would like to know, as you as a bartender, how you would say, no, what I do is entertainment.
There are lots of different ways of drinking and of enjoying alcohol, but kind of at the end of the day, it's all about entertainment. The pub in the UK and old Europe, that's a community center. In the Old West, the local bartender who ran the saloon was more important than the mayor. A lot of human history, we've surrounded ourselves with alcohol. We always come together over it. It's been a community aspect for all of human history.
You are known in the community and the acting community when it comes here in New Mexico. So tell me how you got started in terms of bartending.
First off, I think there's a lot of overlap between the two. People throw around the term mixologist and bartender kind of interchangeably, but I think they're kind of different things. So mixology, if you look at the root of the word, is the study of mixing, which is when you design drinks, you think about flavor profiles, all of that. Bartending is one who tends bar. And there's so many elements to that, beyond mixing drinks, is you're part psychologist, you're part entertainer, you're part bouncer, you run the whole show. Bartending was always it just kind of happened to me. I grew up in a foodie family. We had a lot of dinner parties. Both my parents cooked, it was something that was always really a part of my life. My big sister was a professional chef, and all of the side jobs that I got always ended up being around making drinks. As I was a barista, I worked as a soda jerk in a malt shop making milkshakes and lime rickeys, like
It's fun.
you name it. I ended up as a server at the Apothecary Lounge in Albuquerque, at Hotel Park Central, and their lead bartender Sarah Matthews, who now owns her own spots up in Las Vegas, New Mexico, kind of noticed a knowledge and a talent there in me, and she kind of started preparing me to be a bartender before I was even 21.
Wow.
She started quizzing me on things. She started kind of teaching me the ins and outs before I could even step behind the bar. And then I stepped behind the bar and started bartending on my 21st birthday. And that was over 10 years ago now.
Did you scratch it? I feel you. I feel you. So what is it that you love about, being in this field? What is it that you love about it?
Well, I think what's really cool about bartending is it scratches so many like really really core human values. I do think of making cocktails as an art form. When you enjoy a good cocktail with all of your senses. Is visually it's beautiful. The room that you're in has a big effect from the music, the sound levels, the lighting in the space. All of that has a huge effect on how you enjoy flavors and actually how you perceive flavors. But what's cool about making drinks as an art form is the whole point is to help people enjoy themselves. The whole point is to be hospitable, is to welcome you into my space, to have you enjoy something delicious, but it's fleeting by its very nature. There's I think it was a Mark Twain quote, is that you should drink a cocktail while it's still laughing at you.
So getting that knowledge before you started then, one, amazing, because you're stepping into it with, some knowledge without just going in blind. And being in this field, you were named the top 10 US bartenders in 2024.
Correct. Yeah.
How was that? How was that? How was it competing for something like that?
So I compete in a competition. It's called USBG Presents World Class, sponsored by Diageo. Full
That's
name
just long.
It's a lot. So most of us call it World Class. So Diageo is one of those companies that represents Johnny Walker, Tanqueray, Don Julio, Kettle One, Zacapa, like all of these big name brands. And they have a competition every year to name best bartender in the world. What I like about this competition, what I think is really special about it, is there's a mentorship aspect and you get a lot of feedback on every round. So when you submit, the first round that I ever entered was create a mindful menu of up to 4 cocktails and write a short essay about what a mindful menu means to you. Well, I designed a cocktail menu that explored the evolution of New Mexican culinary traditions through cocktails.
Wow.
This competition, those prompts make you think in ways that you wouldn't normally. So it kind of takes you out of your comfort zone and forces you to come up with things that aren't necessarily within your comfort zone.
So where can people see you, to see your work, to taste your masterpieces, your works of art? Where can they find you?
So I'm the lead bartender at Tonic in downtown Santa Fe. We're just a block off the plaza, across the street from the Hotel St. Francis, right next door to Cafe Pascual's. It's a tiny little alleyway entrance. It's really easy to miss it, and that's kind of what makes it special, is you got to find it. I'm there Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. But another thing I love about Tonic is it's a teaching bar. So there's a really incredible apprenticeship program there. There are currently 4 of us, including me and Winston, and everyone is a fully trained bartender that's gone through the entire program and really, really knows what they're doing. So when you show up, whether I'm there or not, you're in good hands. And then you can also follow me on Instagram at WestonDrinks, and I've started a bartender's TikTok as well. That's the same as WestonDrinks.
Yep, you love what you do.
I love what I do. It's so much fun. It's such a blast.
Thank you again for talking with me and taking the time. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Anytime.
Staring at her pretty pictures. I'm sick wondering how you kissed her.
Beyond the Crime Convention is an immersive event that brings together true crime survivors, family members of the missing, detectives, podcasters, and fans invested in solving crimes and advocating for the voiceless. We're excited to have Crystal Gutierrez, host of Beyond the Case podcast, to tell us more about this first ever event in New Mexico. Crystal, thank you for joining me today to talk more about this event. And I always find it funny myself. I am not a huge fan of horror. I'm getting into that, but a true crime documentary or a show, love it. So
Absolutely.
How did the idea of this convention begin?
So I'm the host, and I know some of you may recognize me from KRQE. I left that gig. I'm doing my own thing. I actually own a production company, and we host a show called Beyond the Case, where we find missing people. After working on that for a few years, we've learned that a lot of cases are not heard of, unfortunately. So we thought this was going to be a great avenue. Let's switch it up, do an entire convention, and give these families a platform they deserve. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of people that are intrigued by true crime. So why not give it a win-win for the community? They could come on out, get these stories firsthand from those impacted by true crime, but also dive into, as I mentioned before we came on, we even have a mock crime scene. So you get to be an investigator at our convention.
Amazing. And this, of course, is the first ever that's done here in New Mexico.
Yes, very first one. And it's going to be huge. Let's just put it that way. We have 20 speakers already confirmed. 2 ballrooms going consecutively at the very same time. So it's kind of pick your own adventure, if you will.
Oh, wow.
We'll give you a schedule. You decide what talks you want to listen to. As I mentioned, the mock crime scene will be available all day long. We have podcasters coming in from out of state that focus only on true crime. They'll be on a stage going live during their podcasting, and you get to sit and listen to them go to work.
Oh my goodness, that just sounds exciting. And there is actually a benefit of doing this convention, that the funds will be going to an important cause.
Absolutely. So the money that's raised from Beyond the Crime Convention goes right back into Beyond the Case. As I mentioned, that's my online show. We actually have a contract now with the NBC affiliate here in Albuquerque, and they air our program once a month. We reinvestigate these missing persons cases. I have a private investigator that I fund, and the families don't pay a single cent. They get all of our resources. We've done cadaver dog searches. We've done digging. We've done DNA testing. All of that is free to the family. Our only mission is to help them either get some resolution or find answers that they didn't see before we entered the picture.
It's just another wonderful resource, because there's a lot of cases that go unsolved. So this is a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So where can people go to learn more about it?
So it's easy. You go to beyondcrimeconvention.com. You can also look for me on any social media platform at Crystal Gutierrez TV. I have links everywhere. It's going to be at Isleta Resort and Casino, March 15th. It's about education, awareness, advocacy, and I get it. There's a lot of people that do watch true crime, in particular, a lot of women.
Yes.
With that being said, a lot of women do it because they want to know how to protect themselves or their family members. So we even have a live self-defense demo that you guys will be able to take part in and understand, maybe what techniques you can work on, how to not become a victim or prey. There's so many different things with that as well. And we also have a cadaver dog demo. I know there's so many true crime, fanatics, if you will, that are trying to figure out, how do they know it's not a dog versus a human bone? So they're going to be there to talk about the myths and what they do and how they train their canines to make sure that they're helping in these cases and hopefully finding some resolution for families.
My goodness. Well, this is going to be quite the event. Crystal, thank you for coming on tonight and talking with us more about it. And I'm definitely going to look forward to this one.
Please do. And I said, the more that come out, the merrier. We get the word out. And also all that money goes right back into more investigations here in New Mexico.
Well, we want people to get out there. So get out there.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Great platform you guys have here.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
We'll be back. Well, thank you for taking time out to talk with me today. So I first want to ask, what drives your passion for art, for your love of art?
Well, a big part of it started when I was small. I have a visual impairment, and interestingly enough, I wanted to it started by wanting to show people how my eyes see the world. And because I think at a young age, I started realizing that like not everybody visually even sees things the same way that I do. So I was like, oh, well, this is kind of the way, like, because I don't really see three-dimensionally. So like I wanted to show people, I see the world kind of, in flat compared to the way that most people do, like two-dimensionally. So
That would also be an inspiration behind the art. So how does your process work? Where do you go about starting to create your pieces?
Well, I think a lot of it too gets sparked with I have synesthesia, so like automatically when I turn on music, I get like colors and things associated with the sound.
That's cool.
So it kind of sparks that, turning on music is kind of like a switch for me in that way.
I always heard about that. I always thought to myself, to be able to hear music and see a color and move forward from that is very just interesting to me.
Yeah, it's kind of like that's another thing you don't realize till you're a little older when you're small, that not everybody, experiences that in the same, in a similar manner. So yeah.
Makes sense. So, what pieces are you currently working on now?
Well, I'm gonna be in a women's show at Mothership Gallery, Mothership Alumni. It's downtown. So I'm working on finalizing one of those pieces for that, which I feel is a super important show because, just to bring focus and women in focus, the topic of women in a show is, I think an important thing.
When it comes to being that you live here in New Mexico, do you take any kind of inspiration from where you live when it comes to your work?
I grew up in Santa Fe, and part of my earliest memories were walking down Canyon Road with my parents, and they like took me into the galleries, and I would see a lot of New Mexico themed art, meaning, like the landscape and, cultural things. And so that like had an impact on me just seeing those. But interestingly, stylistically, I kind of don't include any of those themes in my work, even though they are an inspiration and like especially early on. I kind of they do like drive my earliest intentions, with making art as well.
So, where can people learn more about you and your art?
I am on Instagram. My handle is the Stephanie Galloway. And so I post my artwork there quite a bit. And I just, too, like just like word of mouth with people too. I do the old fashioned way where I just like to go out and meet people and, and just, get to interact with people outside.
Stephanie, thank you again for joining me this morning to talk more about your work. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you very much. You have a great day.
This is your New Mexico Entertainment in 60. The Noodle Club at Three Sisters Kitchen teaches you how to make a new noodle and sauce dish from scratch every month. The Noodle Club's next session is on March 27th at Three Sisters Kitchen in Albuquerque. The New Mexico Gay Men's Chorus presents The Unbreakable Harvey Milk. Delve into Milk's life and legacy through powerful music and storytelling. The show is on March 29th through the 30th at the Lenzic Performing Arts Center in Santa Fe and the National Hispanic Cultural Center in Albuquerque. Sweet Week is a celebration of all things sweet. Take part in a week of discounts, promotions, classes, and pairing events at some of the sweetest culinary destinations around town. The event runs from March 29th through April 6th in Albuquerque. This has been your New Mexico Entertainment in 60. For more events and entertainment, visit nmentertains.com. Marion Carillo is a New Mexico talent known for his heartfelt storytelling, humor, and raw honesty in his live performances and songwriting. We're excited to have him here tonight to share his journey, influences, and upcoming shows. Marion, thank you for joining us tonight to talk about you and your music. I'm excited to hear more about it. So I want to start with, what is it about music that makes you so passionate about it?
Yeah, and thanks for having me. I really appreciate this
Absolutely.
opportunity. So music for me has always been a way to talk about and communicate my emotions. When I was growing up, I really struggled always to articulate what I was feeling inside. Mm-hmm. But because my parents had a really eclectic taste in music, just a huge variety of things that I grew up listening to, I always had a song or two or 10 that easily explained, at least in my mind, easily explained what I was going through. And so when I kind of set out and set an intention to start writing my own songs and writing my own music, the goal was to be able to provide that for someone else. Mm-hmm. So my hope is that, you know, what I used to do at night is to fall asleep, I'd turn on the radio and I'd turn it real, real low, but just enough that I could hear it. And it helped me feel a little bit less alone and a little bit more understood. And so my hope is that someone does that with my music.
That's a wonderful goal. So what were you talked about your parents listened to an eclectic amount of music. So what genres drew to you what music would you listen to?
Yeah, so a lot of what was kind of playing in the car or playing around the home for me was like Meatloaf,
good,
Billy Joel, Frank Sinatra, James Taylor, you know, just some Carly Simon, you know, people like that. So it was kind of a wide swath of things. And then, musicals, Broadway. Made it their job, made it their point to talk about what it was like to be alive as them or at this time, you know, and they told stories with their music more than anything else. I'm always more interested in a well-written song than a well-produced one, you know?
Yeah.
So like lyricists, people like John Prine, people like Lucinda Williams, Lily Hyatt's a big favorite of mine, and then Todd Snyder is kind of my primary influence when it comes to songwriting. And yeah, these folks, they're kind of on repeat around my house to my wife's chagrin.
And those songwriters, you know, they have a process. Do you have one in your process as you started becoming more of a singer-songwriter?
Yeah, I tend to, kind of my joke on stage, but it's not a joke, is that I write about whatever's giving me anxiety in the moment.
You're going to feel the most out of that.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to get a lot out of the next few years probably. But yeah, anything that's just playing around in my head and it just won't leave me alone, mm-hmm. that to me is a cue that I need to make it rhyme. And so that's what I do is, you know, whatever thing I'm ruminating on, stewing on, I sit down and I'll start with just kind of like a stream of consciousness writing practice, and then take sentences and words and things like that out of it and make those into a rhyme, make that into a song. You know, mm-hmm. Eventually I add music somehow, you know, but yeah, I generally find a melody and words long before anything else.
Well, definitely going off the feelings of what you're feeling as you're writing that, you're definitely going to reach that goal of somebody hearing your music and connecting and relating to it. So what do we have to look forward to when it comes to performances around town?
Yeah, so the next time that someone might see me is going to be with my trio. I've got a fantastic bass player, Clark Libby, and a brilliant lead guitar player, Crystal Gutierrez. And we'll be playing at the Cowgirl on March 15th up in Santa Fe from 1 to 3. And that's just a whole lot of fun.
Yeah.
The Cowgirl's a steady gig for me. I'm there once or twice a month. I love playing there. They love having me. It's a great, good feedback for everyone. Yeah, it works out for everyone. And then in April, I think it's April 5th, I'll be playing with my full band, bass, drums, everything, the whole nine, out at the Lazy Lizard out in Cedar Crest. Mm-hmm. But then the big thing that's going on is every year in the summertime, my wife and I put on shows in our home. We have a house venue.
Oh, wow.
And we do a summer series of local artists and sometimes touring artists from around the country, all original music. All of the money goes to the artists. We don't keep a dime. And so people can be on the lookout for that through Trapdoor Projects. That's the name of our venue. And so that'll be June 28th, July 26th, August 23rd, and September 27th will be the shows this year. And we'll be announcing those artists probably in mid-May.
That sounds exciting. Yeah, I want to know more about that one. So where can people learn more about you, that event, and everything else that's coming up?
Yeah, so folks can find me anywhere under the More the Marion. That's the easiest thing to search for. Instagram, any of those. Instagram's kind of the primary thing where I post. And then there's my website, marioncarillo.com. And then for the house venue stuff, that's all under Trapdoor Projects, which is TRPDR on Instagram. And so, yeah.
Wonderful. Well, Marion, thank you again for coming out tonight and talking with us about your music. And we are looking forward to your upcoming projects.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll be back. Thank you for joining us for this month's episode of New Mexico Entertainment Television, where you continue to be in the know. Join us next month as we cover topics from our April issue, which is our film issue. Have a good night.
I haven't seen you since the blackbird. I heard you made your way out west. Back then I'd always find you downtown, 'cause that's a place you knew the best. With mean tattoos and a kind of smile, you always knew how to make me laugh. I haven't seen you in a long while. What say me and you relive the past? 'Cause I still taste your cotton candy, still smell your dime store perfume. I wouldn't change one thing about it, babe. Oh no, I still come back home for you. You called me once from California, said you like the taste of salty, yeah. You told me about your new religion, saw neon Jesus everywhere. You found me praying at your altar, I cried the Lord's name in vain. We were flying straight to nowhere fast when I heard you hail my name. 'Cause I still taste your cotton candy, still smell your dime store perfume. I wouldn't change one thing about it, babe. Oh no, I still come back home for you. It's been nice to see your smile. You always knew how to make me laugh. I hope it's not so long till I can see you again and we can relive our past. 'Cause I still taste your cotton candy, still smell your dime store perfume. I wouldn't change one thing about it, babe. Oh no, I still come back home for you. I still taste your cotton candy, still smell your shitty rose perfume. I wouldn't change one thing about it, babe. Oh no, I still come back home for you. I wouldn't change one thing about it, my sweet girl. I'm still dreaming now of you.
For more events and entertainment, visit nmentertains.com.